Hi friends, today I will teach you about pharmacodynamic receptors. Friends, this is the most important topic in pharmacology because once you fully understand this topic, then you can apply its concept through the subsequent topics, means subsequent chapters. So let's start with this. First is ligand gated ion channels. The examples are GABA A receptor, glutamate receptors, 5-HT3 receptor, nicotinic receptor. Among the GABA A receptor, that is the GABA B is the GPCR receptor. This is the exception we have to remember. Glutamate includes the NMDA, AMPA, and kinase, and the serotonin receptor includes the 5-HT3. Exclude the 5-HT1 to 7. Those are the GPCR receptors. And as we know that in parasympathetic system we found muscarinic receptor and nicotinic receptor. So the muscarinic receptor is the GPCR receptor type. So ligand gated includes only the nicotinic type. You have to remember that ligand gated ion channels are fastest acting receptors. How? I will explain you now. Okay. For example, take nicotinic receptor. Okay, nicotinic receptor is a pentameric receptor. It has 5 subunits: alpha, beta, gamma, delta, or epsilon. Alpha is including 2 alpha subunits. Here the alpha subunits are constant subunits. They are having the finger-like projections towards the lumen. So whenever a ligand comes and binds to the alpha subunit, the projections that they are present in the lumen, they move towards the alpha subunit and the mouth of the lumen opens up. Hence the function here starts from within the lumen, means the function starts from here, that is the sodium ion or calcium ion, whatever ion may be there, that it will enter through the lumen. So the name is so long as compared to other receptors name because the ligand comes and it binds the channel, then the channel open or closes according to that fashion. Okay, so here the SCH gated sodium channel receptor. Here the SCH is the ligand that binds to the sodium channel receptors, hence the name itself it is called as a ligand gated ion channel receptor. Now the second one is the enzymatic receptor. Enzymatic receptors means here the enzyme is present inside the cell. To the enzyme, a receptor is linked. When a ligand is bind to the receptor, then the receptor will stimulate the enzyme and the following condition will take place. That is, it will either inhibit a reaction or it will proliferate a reaction. So the enzyme receptors are tyrosine kinase receptors, guanylate cyclase receptor, JAK receptor, and the serine threonine kinase receptors. So tyrosine kinase receptors are EGFR, that is the epithelial growth factor receptor. It is also known as HOR1 receptor. Remember please this. VEGF receptor, vascular endothelial growth factor receptor, HOR2 receptor, insulin receptor, IGF-1R receptor, insulin like growth factor 1 receptor. JAK receptor is the subpart of tyrosine kinase receptor. If they give the example of JAK receptor and they don't give in the option JAK receptor instead of tyrosine kinase will be there, then you please mark the tyrosine kinase receptor because it is a subpart of the tyrosine kinase receptor. So I am here giving the JAK receptor subtype, means examples are cytokines, growth factor, growth hormones, and the prolactin. Now the guanylate cyclic receptors. These are the ANP and BNP receptor. ANP means adrenal natriuretic factor. BNP means brain natriuretic factor. Not factor, that is peptide. Okay, guanylate cyclase, the main function is it is present in the blood and it increases the cyclic GMP which causes the vasodilation, right? Now the fourth one is the serine and threonine kinase receptors. The example is a TGFR, transforming growth factor receptors. Just remember it. If have later you will find its application in subsequent topics. Now the third receptor is the nuclear receptor. Okay, nuclear receptor, why is it so called? Because it acts through the nucleus, right? So based on the location, it has two types, nucleus and the cytoplasm. So one question will be coming through your mind, that why the cytoplasm is called as a nuclear receptor? Because in the cytoplasm the receptor is present, but the function is acting through the nucleus, hence it is included in this receptor. So the examples of nucleus means in the nucleus the receptors present are acting through the R, T3, T4, that is thyroid hormones receptors, vitamin A receptor, that is RAR and RXR, and that is a retinoic acid receptor and retinoic X receptors. Then PPAR, paroxysmal proliferator of activated receptors. Then in female hormones, female hormones, they are the estrogen and progesterone hormones. And the cytoplasm includes the androgen, mineralocorticoid and glucocorticoid and vitamin D receptor. Here you have means you will become very confused about vitamin A and D. So as a alphabetical order, you just remember vitamin A means nucleus, vitamin D means cytoplasm. Nuclear receptor is the slowest acting receptor, because whenever you stimulate this receptor, first this receptor will inform to the nucleus, then in the nucleus what happens is they will inform to the gene, then gene will form its protein, subsequently protein, then this protein will act upon different organs or different enzymes, etc. So it takes a very large step to act upon this. So it is a slowest acting receptor, and its opposite is the fastest acting receptor. The name is a ligand gated ion channel receptor, right? So move on to the next topic, that is GPCR, which is the most important one, and it is also known as the serpentine receptor, 7 transmembrane receptor, heptahelical receptor, and one another name is the metabotropic receptor. It is the special name that is not given in so many books. Just try to remember this name. Okay, GPCR is the most common target of the drug. Most of the drugs, they are acting through the GPCR receptors. Hence, it is the most important classification group of the receptor. So please try to focus on this topic very carefully. Okay, I am just removing this space, sorry, to explain this mechanism. Okay, the GPCR is a serpentine receptor, means it is having the 7 transmember type receptor, means its structure, and it is also known as serpentine because it is curling like a snake. So see, in this figure, in a normal cell, the receptor is present towards the outside, and it moves to the cytoplasm, again it coming to outside the cell, again it is going to the inside the cell, again coming outside. So it is going 7 times up and down, right? So at its tail part, you see there is 3 subunits is present, alpha, beta and gamma. These 3 subunits are best friend of each other. The alpha subunit is having its neighbor called GDP. So alpha is having a neighbor called GDP, right? So whenever a stimulus, that is any ligand, is coming and binding to the receptor of GPCR, then what happens is that the GDP acquires an phosphate and it becomes a GTP. When the alpha sees that the GDP has acquired the GTP, so it becomes very greedy towards it, and it becomes unfriendly towards beta and gamma, and hence it gets separated from them. So what happens then next step? Alpha is having GTP as activity, hence it breaks the GTP to GDP and inorganic phosphate. Once it loses the inorganic phosphate, again it becomes sad about it lose the inorganic phosphate, and hence it again goes towards the beta and gamma, and again it makes a friend with them. This process is repeatedly happening. So to make this process repeatedly happen, we have to stimulate this receptor again and again by giving the drugs, right? That is only I am trying to explain about this. So among these three subunits, which one is the most important? You say me the alpha subunit. So alpha subunit is having again the four subunits, sorry, so subtypes, that is S, Q, I and O. S for the stimulator, Q for same for the stimulator type, I for the inhibitory, O for other. Okay. So the most important subunit now you know is the alpha subunit, right? First we will know about GS subunit according to alpha S, right? Okay. When we stimulate or when a ligand stimulates the GS subunit of GPCR, then the alpha S GTP increases inside the cell. So then it activates the enzyme known as the adenylate cyclase. The adenylate cyclase will increase the cyclic AMP, which subsequently stimulates the protein kinase A. The function of the protein kinase A is it will phosphorylate different proteins or different enzymes. Okay. Based on the function of the protein kinase A, we have divided the protein kinase activity into smooth muscle, and again it gets effect on the cardiac and the skeletal muscle. Okay. So I am just trying to explain you. Please try to focus and understand this topic. Okay. So in a smooth muscle, what happens is that in smooth muscle, MLCP, myosin light chain phosphorylase, as well as MLCK, myosin light chain kinase is present, right? What I told you, the function of protein kinase, it will phosphorylate different proteins. So it phosphorylates the MLCP protein, but it dephosphorylates MLCK protein. The function of MLCK protein in smooth muscle is to contraction the muscle, right? But in this case the MLCK gets dephosphorylated, hence it leads to the relaxation. So in smooth muscle the protein kinase A activity is the relaxation type. Okay. Now in cardiac and skeletal muscle the function is it phosphorylates the calcium channels, by which the calcium ions are moving into the cell more and more, by which contraction occurs. So we saw two differentiation of the cases, that is, one is the relaxation, one is the contraction. Relaxation we see in smooth muscle, contraction we see in cardiac and skeletal muscle. Now I am giving you an example. Salbutamol, we are taking this drug for the bronchial asthma, right? So bronchial asthma, the receptor present is the beta 2 receptors. The beta 2 receptors also present in the cardiac muscle as well as in the skeletal muscle. So when you take the salbutamol drug, it causes the bronchodilation, right? Because of a GS subtype. In the bronchial muscles are the smooth muscles, right? But cardiac and skeletal muscle also having beta 2 receptors, right? And what does GS subtype causes? It causes the contraction. So we see the side effect of salbutamol is the palpitation in cardiac, and in skeletal muscle we see as a tremor. So beta 2 receptor and salbutamol is the example. Try to correlate with this smooth muscle and cardiac and skeletal muscle. Okay, right, fine. Next is the GQ subtype of receptor. When you stimulate the GQ subtype of receptor, it increases the alpha Q GTP, which activates an enzyme known as phospholipase G. Phospholipase C will cleave the phosphatidylinositol diphosphate. Sorry, it increases the phosphatidylinositol diphosphate. Phosphatidylinositol diphosphate will cleave into inositol triphosphate and diacylglycerol. Inositol triphosphate, it is abundantly present on sarcoplasmic reticulum. We know that sarcoplasmic reticulum is the storehouse for the calcium, and hence we stimulate the sarcoplasmic reticulum, more and more amount of calcium will liberated out and it causes the contraction, right? So wherever the GQ subtype of receptor is present, it causes the contraction. It is universally true. Now the diacylglycerol will activate the protein kinase and it will phosphorylate the different cell membrane proteins, right? I already told you about the protein kinase activity. It will phosphorylate different proteins. So it phosphorylates the cell membrane proteins. So again, see the nature's mystery. We see alpha 1 receptors is also present on the bronchial smooth muscles, right? It causes the vasoconstriction. Sorry, not bronchial, not bronchial constriction, it is present in the blood vessel. I am talking about blood vessel right now, okay? In blood vessel, both alpha 1 and beta 2 receptors are present. So when we stimulate GQ subtype of receptor, it causes the vasoconstriction. When we stimulate the beta 2 type of receptor, that is the GA subtype of receptor, it causes the vasodilation, because the endothelium means the below the endothelium we see smooth muscle layer in the endothelium. So it is showing the vasodilation type of character, right? So now you tell me oxytocin is what type of receptor acting, GS or GQ? We know that oxytocin causes the uterine contraction during the delivery of a baby. So in the uterus, smooth muscles are present. So what type of receptor? Contraction. Contracts plus smooth muscle. It is giving correlating towards the GQ subtype of receptors. Right? Fine. Then GI and GO subtype of receptor. GI means G inhibitory type, GO means G other type, except the alpha means it is relating towards the beta and gamma, not towards the alpha type. Okay. So when you stimulate the GI subtype of receptor, it increases the GI GTP, right? So when GI GTPs get increased, it causes the decrease in cyclic AMP, plus it opens the potassium channels. In case of G other type of receptor, we see there is a blockage of calcium channels and opening of the potassium ion channels. So both these things causes the relaxation type function, right? So both GI and GO coexist. Now for example, M2 is present in heart, right? So subsequently you will know in autonomic nervous system that M2 receptors in heart causes the decrease in heart rate because of the presence of the GI and GO type of receptor. Now coming to the final receptor of this GPCA, that is G12 or 13 receptor. When you stimulate this receptor, it causes increase in Rho GTP, which subsequently causes Rho GTP. Then it activates the enzyme Rho kinase, which causes the vasoconstriction. So to prevent this vasoconstriction, the Rho kinase inhibitors are being developed. The drug is called Fasudil. Fasudil, it inhibits the Rho kinase. As you know that when we inhibit the Rho kinase, it causes the vasoconstriction to inhibit. Means the opposite is what? Vasodilation. So it causes the vasodilation. Now this medicine is under trial for the angina, pulmonary hypertension, cerebral vasospasm. Another drug that is acting through the Rho kinase inhibition is the Netarsudil. It has been approved for the treatment of the open angle glaucoma, and the mechanism of action is that it causes the increased trabecular outflow as it tightens the trabecular meshwork in the eye. Okay. Now in 2017, the Netarsudil drug has been made out. Okay. So again in 2019, the fixed dose combination has been approved, that is Netarsudil plus latanoprost in the drug of choice as in the open angle glaucoma. Okay, so this is my ending to this topic. Hope you will like this video. And guys, this is my first video. I know so many faulty things I have just made, and I always try to improve such things. Please comment and share this video, because I have purposefully made this. I am going to make all these types of videos because everybody can't access to the so-called financier means very expensive coaching institutes or expensive video subscriptions, right? So I am putting those videos for you only, guys. So please note down these topics in your own handwriting notebook, and please try to revise it thoroughly. And please, once you read this topic, please go through your book, which topic in which you are lagging behind, and please ask me if any doubt I may try to improve. Okay, I will definitely improve. And please tell me about how you felt by seeing this video, and definitely the from next video onward I will definitely I will try to improve this. Okay, so thank you guys. Please like and subscribe to my channel. I am I am doing uploading this my first video. Hope you will like it, guys. Thank you.